Hey, welcome, Mompreneurs. Thanks for showing up to Mom Talk today, where we talk about all things mompreneur, mom guilt, the joys and struggles that we have building the business of our dreams and being present with our family. So today we have Linda. She's with Monetizing Mompreneurs. She's an awesome mompreneur that I follow. And today she's here. We're gonna just dig in and talk about those struggles and joys of being a mompreneur. So, hey, Linda.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here and that you took the time to hop on for a few minutes with me. And so I would love just to find out a little bit more about your family and your business, why you became a mompreneur and just some things like that.
Yeah, for sure. So I am married. We are 12 years married, Franklin
Wow.
and I. Yes, we have three littles. They
No.
are 9, 6, and 4. And it's very exciting ages. My little baby
Yes.
girl is with me most of the time, and then the boys
Oh,
are in school.
okay.
And so the reason why I started like monetizing mompreneurs, I first started as a hand maker. Oh,
Okay.
and you probably hear my dog in the back.
That's
So I
okay.
first started as a hand maker, and I was creating like custom handbags.
Wow.
And yes, and what I would do is I would blog about my handbags.
Okay.
And through blogging, that's when I found the next thing, and it was web design. Now, I was a web designer, and in the essence of like I took web design in
Yeah.
high
Okay.
school. I didn't take it for college, but I was an artist
Hmm.
a lot of my youth. And so when people started reaching out, and I did runway too. I not only did handbags, but I also did like a local show in Redress Raleigh. Yeah, and I made some videos. I had
Yeah.
yeah, we did like a video about like the line because I did also like these little pillows and
Right.
then these handbags and then some clothing.
Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and I learned a lot. I learned a
Okay.
lot. So I worked with models and we did runway shows and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I learned a lot about marketing and
Hmm.
branding through the fashion industry. And so
Right.
one of the ways that I like look at marketing and branding is actually through like fashion.
Okay.
And so then had actually started. Okay, so what happened was I reached out to an amazing textile designer, and she was
Hmm.
a philanthropist, and she had designs in that she was doing in Africa. I mean, these were beautiful designs, and I reached out to her, and she had collections in Tory Burch, and Michelle Obama has worn her prints,
Wow.
and yeah, and then we started working on kind of like a pillow collection with
Hmm.
leather. And at the time, I just had my baby boy
Hmm.
and I was a young mother.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was cool to have that opportunity. I think she was like planning on having her collection in Barney
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But it was very kind of like scrappy.
Okay.
It was very scrappy. It wasn't like, and I pretty much told her, I was like, you know what? And I think I was like going into my 30s. I said, you know what? If I was a young 23-year-old, I would totally jump on this. Because you're able to fail at that. You're like you can fail,
Yeah.
you can get back up. You don't have people depending on you. And so I pretty much said to her, like, no, I can't, continue this, because
Right.
I did it like a sample collection and I was more the hands person,
Right.
and I gave some ideas of like the leather work and we were going to collaborate, but
Yeah.
it wasn't a good opportunity. Like I felt in my gut,
Right.
like, yeah, she has the street creds. She has,
Right.
like connections and big places,
Right.
but I saw that amount of work that needed to be done.
Right.
And at that time, I was like, this is not where I want to go,
Right.
you know? And so I had to be like, thank you so much for the opportunity, but I'm not going to be able to do this.
Wow. I mean,
Um,
that's hard to do. It can be hard to do. So that's
yeah,
amazing
I
that
mean,
you were able to. to say that and be like, this isn't what I need.
Oh yeah, I just felt like you will feel it, man. Like
Yeah.
if, I guess I felt it. I felt like this is as far as I was going to go
Yeah.
with textile and pattern making and,
Mhm.
doing things like being a hand maker.
Right.
I did have like a Etsy shop and everything like that, and I did have sales from there. My biggest sales were slippers, were like these slippers that I would make,
Oh my goodness.
crochet. Yeah. Um, so a lot
Wow.
of people don't know that that's where I started. And I mean, they were really cool collections. They were really cool. I'll send you some pics.
Yes.
But wow, that was my daughter. Good job, mommy.
It's
So
the
right
life
now
of a
she's
mompreneur, just
life of a
working, checking
mompreneur.
on the kids.
Yeah, and while I was doing the collections and showing and blogging, that's when I had people reach out to me and say, "Hey, can you help me with my website?"
Right.
And that's when light bulb hit,
Mhm.
and I just hit the ground running towards the web design.
Right.
It was more sustainable. It was more, and looking back, I did try workshops for teaching people how to sew. I did not like it at all.
Okay.
And I tell a lot of like mompreneurs, like, you don't know what's going to be for you unless you try.
Exactly.
Because I was in my head, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
At the time, have you ever heard of Mimi G style? So Mimi G
No.
style was really big. She's like this fashion.
Uh-huh.
She makes her own dresses. She wears them like huge. And I was following her. Like I was like, oh, I like the way that she does that. And I was like, maybe I
Yeah.
can do something similar, but with handbags and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Girl, as soon as I did a class and I marketed the heck out of it, I had like two people
Yeah.
sign up. I did it in this local sewing shop. I knew the
Hmm.
owner because I would always go there and chit chat with like the older women that would gather. And I did not like it. I did not like teaching how to sew.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me. I was like, oh my gosh,
Right.
what have I done? Thank God there was only two people. They finished their purses. So I
Right.
taught them how to make their own purses through
Yeah.
pattern making and then sewing on the machine.
Oh, wow.
Fun, but not where I was like supposed to be. It was a great
Right.
experience. And I'm
Hmm.
thankful for that experience because if I didn't do that, I would have been like, oh my gosh, I missed an
Yeah.
opportunity. And,
Exactly.
it could have happened like this. I could have been a contender, all of
Yeah. You'd
that.
always be wondering, was that
I
what I
always,
was supposed to do? And
exactly. And now because I did, because in my head it was all pretty. It was like,
right.
wow, it's going to be amazing. So this many people are going to show up. It's
Yeah.
going to be so cool. I'm going to sell my patterns,
Hmm.
make courses on patterns.
Yeah, I think that's
Oh.
amazing. And at that time, you had your son. Were you thinking that you needed more time to be available
Sorry,
for
guys.
your family?
Play the ABC mouse, mommy. Sorry. Oh, she's
She's bored, mom.
she, she's playing. She wanted me to buy a game for her, and I was like,
Oh,
no. So she's going through her stuff.
yes.
She's all right. She had her lunch. She's well fed.
Yes.
She's okay. She's potty trained.
It just
She's.
happens whenever you
Oh,
get
you're not
on a
okay?
call.
Yeah, she said she's not
Whenever you get
okay.
on a call or Zoom or something like that is when they need you the most.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's when they need me.
So would
Okay,
you
hold
change
on 1 second.
anything? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Okay, and so you really built your business and your family like all at the same time. It seems like when your oldest son was little, you really started getting into the website.
Well, it was more, so it was more like a hobby.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I would say.
Okay.
And I was looking for ways on how do I monetize this?
Right.
What's going to be the best use of my time?
Hmm.
And so I think I had, then when the web design came, I had both my two boys then, Andy and
Hmm.
Manny. So
Okay.
now I had a 3-year-old with a newborn.
Oh
And
goodness.
this is when, yeah, and this is when I was getting into being a web designer. I
Okay.
think the hardest part was kind of like scaling in that
Mm,
moment, like getting, like I had clients and I was, that was really well. And that
yeah.
was really amazing and I was lucky.
Yeah.
But I was still trying, there were still moments that you would have like this downtime. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, how do I, I was very alone at that point.
Mm,
I would actually put together play dates with like moms that I knew from church
yeah.
and
Yeah.
things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very alone. And then once I had Adriana, then
Mm-hmm.
I had like an assistant, now I had a VA that I
Right.
couldn't afford. And, I had a bigger project. Like I remember the biggest project that I had at the time was like a preschool. And I was
Yeah.
doing with their staff and everything like that. And I was like, wow, I landed that, client, I landed that proposal, yay. And sending out proposals and stuff like that. Um, and so when I had, and then I also had like a mother's helper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to like figure out like all the whole course. And then I had so I had a like a an assistant and then I had
Yeah.
a mother's helper.
Right.
And I was at the time I was trying to launch the podcast
Right.
and trying to see, where I fit. But what was really hard for me was managing social media and the client work stuff, right?
Right. Okay.
And then, so that part was really like difficult for me, like building that consistency, right? And
Right.
trying to be consistent. And one of the things that I've learned along the way was that blogging was like a really amazing way to bring in clients and
Right.
have clients.
Right.
Now, so at the time when I was like feeling alone and feeling like, oh my gosh, no one really knows how this is. And I remember I was following these web designers.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember them, but they had a podcast. I forgot the
Mhm.
name of the podcast. But there were these two web designers, they had a podcast, and I
Yeah.
really absolutely loved what they were doing. And
Okay.
they would show up with these lives and they would conversate with one another.
Mhm.
And they had kind of like this membership. The membership was $350 a month.
Mhm.
At the time, as a newbie, like trying to keep
Yeah.
my costs down and
Yeah.
just like, like, yeah, having blessings, thank God. And,
Right.
but man, that was way too expensive for me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is, way out of my price point
Yeah.
as a startup, like,
Yeah.
just starting and being a mompreneur and trying to figure out what tools I use and
Right.
client management, CRMs, automation, Zapier, Dubsado,
Yeah.
you know, Thrivecart, Memberful,
Yes. All the platforms.
all of the platforms. And I'm here in the beginning trying to figure out like, where I'm gonna fit, what is the best use of my time, how do I not feel alone? How do I not
Right.
feel alone in this? So then I had at the time I had like a really mini Facebook group and it was called Triangle Mompreneurs.
Okay.
And so when it was called Triangle Mompreneurs, my vision was like having local meetups
Okay. Yeah.
and meeting locally. But then when people started inviting me to be a speaker to events and inviting me to speak with certain things and like winning Miss Mompreneur 2019, which was awesome,
Okay.
it
Well,
was
I'm gonna have to know about that at another time because that's amazing.
yeah, so like, like you're going like when you first start, it's going to be like you're just like you're almost like a tot, like a baby learning how
Yeah.
to walk, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You got to figure out how to walk in the space, like, oh
Right.
man, you're gonna fall, you're gonna get back up, and then
Exactly.
you're gonna see what you love. Like, oh my
Right.
gosh, I love this direction, or I love this
Right.
way, and then you look at the marketing, you see what's missing and what you can add to it. And
Yeah.
for me, it was people were asking me like, when the hell do you get your clients, right? Because then you get to
Right.
a certain point when you're
Yeah.
more visible, people are seeing you. I was very lucky that I was done with a project, had another project, done with a project, had another, and so things were just lined up. But how, right? That was the question that I was getting asked the most. And what I was feeling is very alone.
Right.
And so I had the Triangle Mompreneurs, started getting speaking engagements, and I changed. I was like, God, I was like, God, what can I do to make it, broader? The mompreneur, because it was called Triangle Mompreneurs. It wasn't
Right.
called Monetizing Mompreneurs. And then, that I came with the name, Monetizing Mompreneurs. When the
Right.
name came, then the concept came. And it was, I actually went into other communities and I said, because I really wanted to facilitate value and like community and like not being alone. And I really felt like being live was a big deal, or being on camera, right? Being on video like this.
Right.
And so I was like, at first I asked like, hey, I'm looking for people to come into our Facebook group. I know I can't do this alone, to come in and bring value to the people. We only have 100 people. At the time it was like 100 people. We only have 100 people here. And it was 100 for a long time.
Yeah.
It was like little growth. The outreach, the response was ridiculous.
Really.
And people, yeah, it was crazy. And people were just DMing me and thanking me. And,
It means a lot.
huh?
It really means a lot when that starts happening.
Oh, yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, all right, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. And I
Mhm.
was trying to figure out why this. Why is this more amazing than the other comments that I would put in my Facebook? Or why did this have such a big response?
Mhm.
And I do go into it in like one of my free trainings that's like how to create a thriving Facebook group.
Mhm.
It's like a 5-day challenge on what creates that. And so
Right.
I was very lucky that I started then creating like a culture within the group.
Mhm.
And at the time when we first started, when it first started growing, we did lives every single day.
Yeah.
Like it was ridiculous, and it was all on me. And I could not keep up with it.
Right.
It's like that toddler again, like I'm trying to learn how to walk in the space and
Yeah.
I'm falling, I'm not being very consistent, and
Mhm.
boom. And then I figured out that if I just automated a lot of the things within the group and just stayed consistent on like once a week,
Yeah.
that it would be, it would be amazing. And so this is where I come into like, um, word of mouth. And what I talk about, like word of mouth, is very
Right.
powerful, because what I've
Yes.
learned with building the Facebook community is that a lot of women within the Facebook community, and this is how I get clients as well, would refer me
Right.
because they're in my community. They know that I do
It's a
something,
trust factor.
within the community, and they would refer me. And some of these
Yes.
women, especially the ones that have invested in my free content and in my courses,
Mhm.
and so they would refer me
Right.
to other people. And so now that's pretty much like the ecosystem within the business. But
Mhm.
like we were talking before, like I'm trying to go in from that one-on-one client work, right? What's the
Right.
best use of my time? How can I make the best impact?
Right.
How can I reach more people? Um, with all of that, I feel like I'm like rambling, but
No, no, you're fine.
but it was like, okay, now I'm in the whole, okay, how can I make monetizing mompreneurs, because it's very much of a passion project. How
Right.
can I make monetizing mompreneurs that it actually works, that I can just help women grow,
Yeah.
just help moms grow with their business, grow with, with that number one question, right? Now it's time management. So now when I look in the group, the biggest question when people come in our Facebook group is time management. And I actually dropped the episode on Monetizing Mompreneurs podcast on time management with Marissa, who is a productivity coach and time
Yes,
management.
I saw that was coming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's live
It
and it
is.
is
Okay.
good. Yeah, it's so good. And it really, because that's like the number one, like aside from how do I get clients, how do I grow my business,
Right.
it is that one.
It definitely is,
It's
because we get,
how do I do
we
all the
only have so
things.
much time to work in our business, be a mom, all the mom things. So it's important to have good time management, and also, like you said, set up automations and things like that where you can to take off some of those repetitive tasks that we're doing every day.
Yeah. And so when I, and so looking, the reason why monetizing mompreneurs exists is because I want to create a platform for other women. And that's why I really believe in community versus competition.
Yes,
Like
I love
we
that.
can be a like you can be a web designer, along with me.
Yeah,
I don't feel as anyone is a competition because
right.
it's like I'm gonna jive with my peoples and you're gonna jive with your peoples and people are
Exactly.
gonna decide, who's best for them. I'm not knocking anyone else, but I'm
Exactly.
allowing like the person, I'm just putting myself out there so the person can make the decision
Right.
on, on like, are they ready to work with me or do they want to work with so and
Right.
so, and that's why like being out, like putting yourself out there and showing up is a big deal. And that's why I give the platform on our Monetizing Mompreneurs to anyone. We
Right.
showcase mompreneurs on Wednesdays. They go on our newsletter on like who's
Yes.
going on live, what type of information they're putting out. And on Saturdays, anyone can hop on live. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not promoted like we do with the Wednesdays, but
Mhm.
anyone on Saturdays can go,
Yeah.
can go live.
I mean, I think it's like what you said is so much. I think with mompreneurs, because that's who I serve and who I am, and so like just like you, and I feel like we do want community, like you said, especially in the beginning, you were so lonely. And even if we're not, in person like we always want to be, just having an even an online community of people that know what you're trying to do, how, the struggles that you can go through trying to raise your family while you're trying to build this, I call it my empire. So,
Oh yeah. I mean,
while
because
you're,
like, I mean, you go through all the challenges. They're gonna be, and it doesn't go away.
right,
Like no matter what level you're on and stuff like
right.
that,
Yeah,
challenges don't go away. They're
exactly.
always gonna be there. They're gonna be there.
Yeah,
But it's how we get through the challenges. And
exactly.
when I didn't have such a good community, it felt really lonely because man, crafting a good proposal, when to send out the proposal, when is the best time to send out the proposal? Oh, I'm having a difficult client, what's the best way that I can, oh, I guess, handle the situation
Right.
and make them a great client because there's ways, like
Yeah.
just because you have a difficult client doesn't mean that client can stay difficult. I had a very difficult client, I remember, because I had a VA that I hired, and I've had horrible luck with VAs, but I had a VA that I hired, and she missed the ball, and
Yeah.
it was her responsibility to contact the client and get all of the assets that we need to build the
Right.
website,
Right.
and I mean, she looked amazing, everything.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that client was I was pregnant with Adriana. I was pregnant with my 4-year-old. I had dropped off my 6-year-old at the time at preschool. Because because a certain I think
Yeah.
he was 6 or 5. He was 5 or 6, but he was in preschool.
Yeah.
And then I had a two-year-old,
Yeah.
and we were all taking nap time. And this woman calls me, and I'm getting up from my nap, you know, pregnant,
Hmm.
and she's livid.
Hmm.
She is livid, and I'm just very calm,
Hmm.
and I'm like, I understand.
Yeah.
Yes, I can understand where you're coming from,
Hmm.
and she did not like the fact that I was very understanding and very like, like, because some people
Right.
want that little, they want that little,
Exactly. Yeah.
that
No,
little
I
yeah.
understand
But
that.
that's not my, yeah, but that's not my personality.
No, me either.
I've never been that type of person,
Yeah.
and someone can get like,
Yeah. I'm
loud
kind of
with
like,
me, but I
okay,
will.
let's figure this out. I made a
Mhm.
mistake. Like, I'll take full responsibility, but calm down.
Yeah, yeah. But I just remember I cried because of that,
Yeah.
and it was a very emotional time, and I just felt so alone. I was pregnant with 2 kids, one along the way, had this horrible encounter with one of my clients, like my reputation is on the line,
Yeah.
I'm like, because I care about the work that I do, and I want to do amazing work for my
Right.
clients because I feel like that's why they hired me for, because they want to be taken care of by me.
Right. Right.
And but I just remember I will never forget that. And that was like a pivotal moment for me. and um that's when I started like wanting more community and more like more mompreneurs and
Oh,
more friendships and stuff like that
yeah,
because it just it really felt alone, you
yeah.
know.
Well, you have done an amazing, you've done amazing building your mompreneur, monetizing mompreneurs community. And I know that you still can want to continue to grow it and that it, other things may evolve from it. And so I love that. And that you have really created that community for mompreneurs. And like you said, it's so not a competition, right? It's a community.
No.
Um, and even if, there was a web designer, or
Yeah, I'm
virtual
like, shoot, I'll
assistant.
I'll lock arms. I'll
Yeah,
lock arms
I mean,
like
come
shoot.
on, let's do this together. I want to support you.
Yeah.
You support me. How can we help each other? Like, I am all about that. And I know that you are too. Like, let's help each other. Let's help each other grow your business, be with your kids. Like, what are you, let's talk. What are you struggling with? You know,
Yeah.
so I love that.
Today, I just had a mini play date. That's why I don't have any mom guilt with my daughter
Yeah.
being a little bit on the
Yeah.
phone.
You've been with
Um,
her, right?
yeah, so we had a little play date with
Yeah.
another mom who was also trying to grow her business,
Yeah.
and we decided to do mom swap days. You
Love
know, and I think
that.
it's just yeah, you just have to be creative
Yeah,
and like tap into your community,
definitely.
tap into the mom groups that are going on because you never know who you might meet, and
Yeah.
that's a like outreach. Like if you are feeling alone, if you're like reach out to me, reach out to
Yes.
you, you know,
Yes.
like reach out to one of us, you know, and
Definitely.
get plugged in
We've been
because we know
there.
people maybe yeah, we've been there, we
Yeah.
know people, we might connect you with somebody that
Right.
worked for you, you know.
Yeah. And with me, my girls are 16 and 21 now, and people think like, okay, well, they don't need you anymore. And I'm like, no, they need me even more now. Like
Yeah, oh,
it
I
just
can only
the needs
imagine.
just change, right?
It just changed.
And
Yeah.
so I still want to be available to them. Just as you are with your little ones. And so, well, this has been awesome. I am so
Yeah.
excited that you hopped, even if it was a short, felt like a short chat to me, but that's because I can talk a lot. And so I
Yeah, I
want
mean, I think yeah.
everyone to hop over to Facebook to Linda's group. Give it a shout out, Linda.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can join us in Monetizing Mompreneurs Facebook/group/ Monetizing Mompreneurs. You can also listen to the podcast on Google Play or Apple, and it's called Monetizing Mompreneurs
Okay.
Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Monetizing Mompreneurs, to find me, Linda Mendible, on Instagram.
Yes, awesome. And you can find me our video series on hashtag Mom Talk and Mom Guilt and the struggles and joys of building a business as a mompreneur on YouTube at Virtual Workhorse Team and LinkedIn, Maureen Doss and Virtual Workhorse Team, and Facebook, Maureen Doss. And this has been amazing. I'm so glad that we had a chance to talk. And I hope that, we've just been a little bit, somebody that's watching is like, oh my gosh, I've done that. I've gone through that. And that it's just a little piece of, light for them where they're like, yes, I can do this too. All
Yeah,
right.
or they're going through it
Or they're
like the
going
same
through
like
it. They're thinking about, can I do this? Yes, you can do it.
yes,
We
you
did it.
can.
You can do it. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.